Did you know that the Calgary real estate market is on fire? This is one of the hottest markets that I've currently seen on record. In the last 30 days for single family homes, 372 homes sold under ask price, 39 homes sold at ask price, and 215 homes sold over ask price. So the market is very busy. It's great to see 372 homes selling under ask price, but it's very important to dig into the data and figure out where those homes are selling and how long they've been on the market. If we look at the under ask price homes, this is organized in the date that it's recently sold. In today's date, at about 12 noon on February 2nd, there has been 3 homes that have sold today, and they were all under ask price. One was about 95%, one was 99, one was 97. So if you take some time, you can actually go through here and see some interesting information about the under ask price opportunities. The at ask price is pretty interesting. You can see a lot of the days on market on the left-hand side are fairly fast. If you look on the far left, you can see the A to S or the P to S. The A to S is either a unconditional offer or the listing agent did not mark it as pending on the MLS. More or less, it was probably an unconditional, because if you look at line 4, it was 1 day. You look at line 9, 0 days, line 10, 3 days, line 23, 0 days. Obviously, this is going to vary greatly all over the city, but it's a pretty good thing to understand. Now for the over ask offers, I also have this organized in a way that it is from today, February 2nd. Now it's very important to realize that a lot of these homes will be pending. So there's not very many, but if you look at lines 18 and down, there are a few unconditional offers where the majority of them will be pending. But with that being said, there is a couple interesting examples here. One would be Auburn Bay, listed for $699, sold for $710. It was a 2012 built 3 and 3. Now that's sold within 1 day unconditional. This market is very aggressive. I'm actively in it with multiple people, and it is pretty interesting. My name is Adam Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. That was a very long introduction. If you're looking at getting into the detached market, it is very important to get into the data. Look at the analytics of what's going on in the market and figure out how you can benefit from knowing this data well in advance. The Zoom link is in the description. Go ahead and book a call. So, single family homes in Calgary have achieved $700,000 for the benchmark price. That's an increase of $4,800 last month and almost $80,000 from last year, or a 12.6% increase. Like always, we want to make sure that we're looking at the attributes of the benchmark price. 3 bed up, 1 bed down. It is a almost 1,500 square foot home, forced air furnace. The lot size is just over 5,000 square feet and built in 1998. So all of these benchmark attributes for every quadrant is going to be slightly different. So make sure if you look at benchmark price, you understand what the attributes are. So let's start this off by looking at what the Calgary Real Estate Board has written about this market currently for single families. If you want to pause it, skip to the next chapter, totally your call. A boost in new listings helped support stronger sales this month. However, with the sales to new listing ratio of only 77%, there was minimal change in low inventory situation reported in the detached sector. New listings rose for all homes priced above $500,000, but the largest gains occurred in the over $700,000 market segment. Low inventory levels compared to sales prevented any improvement in the months of supply, which at 1.4 months was lower than levels reported last month and last January. The exceptionally tight market conditions continue to drive further price growth. In January, the unadjusted benchmark price was $702,000, nearly 1% higher than last month and nearly 13% higher than prices reported last year. Year-over-year price gains range from the low of 10% in the city center to southeast districts, seeing a 27% gain in the east districts of the city. Sorry, I messed up that last sentence, but I'm not going to start recording. Couple of things there. First off, I'm going to touch on this a couple times. The sales to new listing ratio is fairly low, and I would argue that there was a lot of listings that came up on the second half of January. So a lot of the sales are currently pending and not actually sold yet. So therefore, it looks like the homes actually haven't sold, which they haven't. So I would argue that next month we're going to see a higher sales to new listing ratio. Now, if we look at this graph here, we can see that the pricing has slightly ticked up. The red bar is the price, the blue bar is the inventory, and then the green bar is sales. Late of last year, you could obviously see the sales were slowing down and the inventory was falling. Obviously, we hit a low in December, which is pretty common. And then January, just look how tight the sales to new listing, the sales to inventory is. If you look at January from last year, you can see how much inventory was left over at the end of the month. This year, look how much inventory is left over for single family homes. This is a very clear indicator that it's going to be a fairly busy market. Last year in May, I remember reporting on this and getting nervous because you can see the sales and inventory were very close to one another, signaling that there was not enough product on the market. Then we started to see a big gap in July, August, started to get a little bit slower in the later months of the year. And now this year, I'm pretty confident we're gonna see more price growth and a tighter market condition across the whole city. So I'm gonna touch on this every month. I actually quite like this. So this is the single family home market information. So in 2023, on the right hand side, you can see the year to date. Now in the year to date, which is only January of last year, there was 561 sales. This year there was 732, a 30% gain. Last year the total sales volume was 376 million. This year 557, which is a 48% gain. So even though there's a 30% new sales, there was a 48% in price volume, indicating that obviously the market's going up. It's great to see new listings increasing. They were at 954. That's awesome to see. We really need new listings to come onto the market. The inventory, as you can see as well, last year we had over 1,100. Now we have under 1,000, so that's a drop of 13%. Months of supply drastically decreased. 2 months versus a 1.3, which is very, very tight. The sales to new listing ratio was only 76%, which is an increase from last year, but I would argue it's going to get even higher as the year progresses. Sales to new listing, or sales to list price ratio, is 99.97, meaning that if you price your home correctly, you're probably going to get asking price, if not over asking price, just considering how fast the market is moving. You can see days on market drop down to 34, and then the benchmark price, the average price, and the median price, which I'm not going to really touch on here. So the inventory for the whole city, obviously, you can see that we're quite low. The trend is definitely down pretty far. I would imagine this is going to be a pretty common thing that we're going to experience all year with very tight inventories. So the months of supply here, we're only going to concentrate on the detached market. So this is a really good indicator to see how fast things are moving. So obviously the city center, which is very normal, has seen the slowest amount of movement, but it's one of the most expensive quadrants in the entire city. They have over 2.5 months of supply. Let's also remember that the city center is a massive quadrant compared to other other areas. West Calgary is similar in price point, but they have only 4 months of inventory, but the quadrant size is quite a bit smaller compared to city center, so obviously there's going to be less product there, but at the same time they're still the same price. So when looking at this, you can see that the most aggressive, or the tightest market in all of city is Calgary East, which is close to 0.5, but the price points in Calgary East are very affordable. So people moving here see that price point and they're just targeting that and running that up. They're seeing massive growths in East Calgary. So with that being said, here's just a very quick glimpse of the benchmark price for the entire city, kind of reiterating what I said, city center as well as west here. You can see that they're fairly close with price point, but it's also important to remember, like I said at the beginning, is the benchmark price. You really want to make sure that you're putting the benchmark attributes over top of this, because the benchmark price is only as good as what you know that the attributes are. So as an example, the city center, if we look at this chart here, where are we? City center, it is a 1,400 square foot home built in 1955, excluding everything else in this description. And if we go and look at West Calgary, it's an 1,800 square foot home built in 2000. There's a very large difference of what type of home you're going to buy. Obviously, West Calgary is going to be more expensive because it's a newer house. You really want to make sure that you're overlapping these benchmark attributes onto benchmark price to get a good picture about what is actually going on in that quadrant and how much homes are actually priced at. So this chart here, again, just showcasing what has happened year over year. A lot of people who own homes are very excited to see this. A lot of people that don't have homes yet, or they're looking to buy, this is obviously a little bit discouraging. You can see that East Calgary has seen over 25% increase, while Northeast saw almost 20%. Obviously, those are going to be the two most affordable quadrants in the entire city, so clearly they're going to see the most amount of price growth. Everything else is hovering around 10 to about 13% increase year over year. So how does that affect you? I talk about this every single video. I've partnered with this AI software, really cool. If you want to know what your home is valued at, and you're not looking at making a sale, but you're curious of how much your home has increased in the past 12 to 14 months, go ahead and put it in here. The link is in the description, called Instant Home Value. Yes, of course, I'm probably going to call and try to develop a relationship with you, kind of talk to you about what your personal situation is. Maybe it's an investment property, maybe it's a primary principal residence, whatever. It's me and only me that looks at it. And if you're curious and you don't want to get into too much detail, that's fine. You can put it in there and you can utilize this every 3, 6, 12 months as much as you see fit. Very interesting stuff. So let's kind of dive into the microeconomic breakdown for each individual quadrant and showcase what's going on here in the city. Now, I do want to throw out this caveat again, that the sales the new listings and the sales and new listing ratio, in my personal opinion, at least the sales and new listing ratio is a little bit lower. I would imagine we're going to see this increase quite a bit in February's report because there's a lot of homes that came listed at the second half of the month. They've got 10-ish condition day, and now they're going to sell in the early days of February, which is going to help to increase the sales and new listing ratio. So when you look at inventory, we only had about 1,000 homes left over at the end of the month, which is not very much at all. You can see that City Center had the most, followed by, like northeast, north, south, and southeast. So there is a little bit to choose from. Not very much. Months of supply is pretty intense in some areas. If you look at Calgary South and you look at Calgary East, they're around 1 month of supply. Very strong sellers market, basically in everywhere in all of Calgary. City Center is 2.5 months. Again, they have a lot of inventory left over. Not a lot of people want to buy detached properties in the city center because they're just so expensive. You can go to a suburb anywhere in Calgary and get something like $300,000-$400,000 less, give or take. There's a benchmark price for every single community. This is the year-over-year growth, the month-over-month growth, and then I'm going to reveal this now, and this is the actual number value of what's going on in the city. So you can see that City Center actually saw a decrease of $4,000, where last month they also saw a decrease of $1,800. If you go down here a little bit more, you can see that West Calgary saw an increase of $32,000. And some people ask, like, why is it increasing so dramatically? You can see that last month they decreased by $28,000. But if you actually go back to the beginning, you can see some of the over ask homes that sold in West Calgary, and they're $1.5 million plus. So they're throwing in offers $50,000 to $100,000 over ask price in some scenarios, which really helps, or which really pushes that benchmark price to sway aggressively. There's not a lot of cheap single family homes in West Calgary. It's a lot of very expensive homes. So a couple really big $1 million plus sales can kind of push it up and down that number quite drastically. Southeast Calgary saw at -$300, which is a flat line, is absolutely nothing. You see northeast, north, as well as south and east all saw increases, especially east seeing $11,000 as well. They're only $493,000 for a house in East Calgary. Now, it's not the most favorable community in Calgary, but at the same time, if you're buying a house for under $500,000, especially newcomers, they're just going to take it. So I'm very confident we're going to see the east quadrant inch up to 550 pretty quick. I'd put some money down on it for sure. So where's Calgary going? Now, I just banged through that super fast because I don't want to make these videos super long. If you have actual questions and you want to dive into the data and you have plans on getting into the market, now is the time to book the call and have those conversations. This year is going to be very hectic. It is very clear to me that the market is moving very fast. I have multiple buyers and sellers in this market, investors, and it is pretty hard to find product right now, and it's very easy to sell your house. So really, depending on your personal situation is what's going to help you get set up for the next 3 to 6 to 12 months. Now, I would imagine Calgary's going to see some increases going right through 2024. So that's all I got for you. I went through that super fast. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to email me. If you're curious about those lists about over ask, under asks, go ahead, shoot me an email. I'll send you all of that information. No worries there. So thank you very much. My name's Adam Fyfe. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.